This guy is Fukura Takehiko. He was originally created for a roleplay that I did with Haito, of course, because she's my writing partner in crime. But it was based on the Kamen Rider Kabuto universe, and if you don't know what that is, like, nobody knows what that is, except for really big nerds like moi. But yeah, he is technically not human. He's an alien, and his alien race has been on Earth for a while, but they take on a human mimic to fit in, and they don't really want to be discovered. They just kind of want to live normal lives and like blend in and not have to worry about it, and at least most of them. He's been used in other settings too, where he was human, or yeah. Actually, we kind of revamped his storyline. We're redoing it. We started over from the beginning to kind of, our characters evolved, and it sort of became less fan fiction and more like this elaborate, insane thing. So he's actually half alien in one universe. But anyways, so he was born on Earth, even though he's an alien, and he is from Osaka, Japan, but he lives in Tokyo now. And he's lived there for a while, since he was a teenager. So he's a little bit sensitive because when he first moved to Tokyo, he had a serious accent. They call it Kansai Ben, and it's kind of like having the Texas accent of Japanese. Like, everybody kind of thinks you're a hick and you're kind of dumb. Like, at least the Osaka one. I think the Kyoto accent's a little bit different, but anyways, he's really sensitive, and he has trained himself not to speak that way, and he tries really hard, but sometimes he slips and he gets really like embarrassed. So he's a concert pianist. I think I mentioned that in my introduction video. So I actually took piano for like 11 years, so that's where I took the inspiration from. I had no characters who really played the piano, so I thought, you know, I know a lot about that, why not? And it's turned out to be like perfect. He's like a cranky diva musician, and I love him. As for his backstory, his mother left when he was about 4, and his father was also a pianist, but he was a drunk, so he ended up ruining his career, and it's like it was a huge point of contention. But yeah, he basically decided that he was going to teach Take how to play the piano, and I guess it was kind of like living vicariously through him. Like, I screwed up my life, so now I'm going to turn you into this like good musician and like fix it somehow. He was originally forced to start learning about age 5, and it actually made him hate the piano for a long time because it was something he had to do, and his dad made him sit down and practice every day, and his methods were strict to the point of being abusive, and he was also abusive in other areas. So Take kind of associated the piano with that kind of feeling for a while, but at some point I think he started to see the piano as something that he could control, like probably the only thing in his life that he could really control. So he started to kind of pour himself into that and use the music as an escape. So he eventually started to love it and decided that really was what he wanted to do with his life. And then his dad died when he was about 14. I have no idea how. It just never really came up. I think he probably, you know, got in an accident of some kind, but anyways, his dad died when he was 14, so he moved to Tokyo to live with his uncle, and he went to college at Gaidai. I can't remember the full thing. It's like Gay. Yeah, it's a Japanese art school. So he went to school there, and eventually became a concert pianist. A couple years after his career took off, he gained the attention of another alien who happened to be a terrorist. His name is Akinori, and he actually kidnapped Take and took him to live with him. It's actually a really long, complicated thing, but eventually they ended up falling in love with each other, and it's kind of twisted. So now he's pretty much become involved with Aki's terrorist agenda. He helps him. I mean, he knows everything that he does, and he helps him, you know, I guess sometimes. He doesn't get too involved yet, but he has, he sprung Aki out of prison before, he has helped him torture people, but I mean, he's gone into this totally different world. So, yeah, that's fun. As far as his personality, I would say that he's mostly indifferent. He's pretty flat most of the time, but if you hit the right buttons, he gets kind of irritable. He's a little cranky. He's kind of cold. He's apathetic toward other people. He doesn't really give a crap about anyone but himself. He doesn't trust people easily. He's just really, like, a really negative kind of. He's kind of misanthropic in that he kind of just doesn't like other people that much. He's an introvert, and he's kind of antisocial, I guess. So yeah, he's really quiet. He's really smart, but he doesn't think so. He tends to think more than he talks. So if he's around other people, which normally is Aki now and his henchmen, he just kind of listens and takes it all in, and like maybe we'll throw a word or two in. He's just really, really introverted. I think that for most of his life, Taco was kind of numb to the world around him because he kind of blocked out a lot of his childhood memories for a while, and so he was just like, he didn't really have any feeling for anything, and yet at the same time he carried a lot of anger inside, and he remembered kind of vaguely his dad, but it wasn't enough that he really understood where the intensity of the feelings came from. So there's that. With Aki, he's a totally different person. He's really caring and affectionate and really protective of him, which is hilarious because he's actually this little short guy, really scrawny, not very tough, at least not physically tough. He's pretty mentally tough as nails, but you know, his physique is kind of scrawny. So, and Aki is this big, half Japanese, half something else guy who is like super strong, and he can more than take anybody who crosses his path, but yet Take feels like he needs to protect him. It's and I think that being with Aki after their initial kind of rocky, messed up start was the first time he ever really felt happy, and it was the first time he felt like he belonged somewhere. So as a result, he's really fiercely loyal to Aki. Like, he will never betray him. He would rather die than live without him, and it's kind of cliche, but he would take a bullet for him. He would do anything. He would do anything for Aki. Yeah, he would die for him if he had to. Obviously he would prefer not to, but yeah. He's completely aware of how he's changed since being with Akinori, which kind of freaks me out because he's become this kind of dark, messed up person, and yet he doesn't really care. So that, yeah. Did I mention he's not totally sane? I think probably the scariest thing about him is that he refuses to see Aki as a monster, which is how pretty much the rest of the world would see him. He doesn't really feel anything at all for Aki's love of mayhem and torture and murder. He just, like, he goes along with it like it's just, you know, it's just a part of Aki, so he doesn't care. So yeah, he's a little bit messed up in the head. So yeah, that's Take. He's, I guess, one of my villains, you would say. Or I guess he's definitely a villain. Yeah. But I love him. He's one of my favorites. And yeah, I've been writing him for probably about 4 years. So he's awesome. Yeah, I have my new dolls, which are coming, and my floating head, which I want to talk about eventually. But for now, that's it. Hope you enjoyed at least a little bit. I know that I was rambling about him for quite a while, but like I said, I'm a writer, so that's my favorite part, is my dolls' personalities and stuff like that. So I hope it was enjoyable. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and thank you again for everybody who comments and has subscribed to me. I hope to hear more from you in the future. Later.